Welcome back, everyone. So I got things checked out and there was too much play in the rear wheel, which I kind of knew there was. Thankfully it's not the hub, which is good, but I still want to get some fresh oil in that final drive just so I can see what's going on. There's some bearings just up from that in the swinging arm that they weren't torqued correctly, so amazingly James Sherlock Motorcycles just torqued that up for me with no stress. I offered to pay and they wouldn't take it, so that's good. So if I need parts or whatnot, I'll know where to go. And finally I get to take you on a different road. And look at the lighting for you as well, so you can enjoy those views. So as you have seen, the average speed checkers are out again, and I really like to see them in built up areas. That's where I would much prefer they pull up. Schools, hospitals, parks, anywhere where people are driving around like knobbers in a town. I really like that. I think the habit I need to get into is like riding at 25 or 20 in towns, because if you barely creep over, I mean, it doesn't take much to be inaccurate by a few miles an hour and you're going to get punished. So I really need to get the feel for just making sure I'm just under 30 pretty much all the time. I hope you can get some of this. Again, I know this camera isn't particularly good, but the scenery is rather lovely. Delicious. So on this ride home I was going to see if there's any opinion out there about high visibility clothing and whether it allows you to be seen or whether it's all a mirage and something that makes you feel better, but the reality is it makes no difference. So here's my anecdotal evidence. I haven't done any official research, but I was on a little family day out, and as I was driving down a grey and miserable motorway, I couldn't really see anything around. Well, obviously I could see where I was going and I was paying attention, but nothing really stood out too much. But this one rider did behind me, and he didn't have to do anything stupid, and actually it was the whole way that he was riding, or she was riding, that really stood out. They weren't in total hi-viz, but let's say they were maybe going fractionally above the speed limit for a motorway. It wasn't by much. So, but what was quite nice, there was just that little bit of movement that just creeping up behind, so I could see something different was happening behind me. He had hi-viz on the top, but what was quite good was it wasn't just like a bib, because I think so often the bibs, they get lost behind a screen and a fairing. You don't really notice them. It was like full jacket and arms, and it was a nice new fresh colour and I could really see it clearly. His trousers and whatnot were just normal dark trousers, and he had a solid white crash helmet on, and the bike itself was quite dark, so having that contrast between something that's dark, something that's luminous, something that's solid white, which is unusual, you don't expect to see that moving around, kind of like up there like a lollipop. I could see where he was without any issue at all. I could see him in my mirrors. And I thought that's really good. And again, I've got a tricky one this evening. I've got really good visibility on my journey, but behind me I've got lots of bright sun. So even if I'm wearing high-vis, if I've got junctions in front of me, it's still going to be super hard for a driver to pick out what's going on. So I think for me, I like to wear a bit of high-vis, and I've moved over to wearing a solid white crash helmet. And I think if it just is like maybe 10 to 15% of the times you're better seen, then I'll take those 10 to 15% better times that you're seen, and you're less likely to be knocked off. But it's, you know, it's an individual's choice. One thing I have noticed that I used to think like, say like a brighter crash helmet would be a good thing, like with like bright graphics on. But I think it's surprising how, when you look up close at a crash helmet, it's like, oh wow, that looks big. That's like a pumpkin that's got its fancy colours on it. But as soon as you put that into the distance, it's actually very small, and it's not like it emits any light. And I've found, from a personal perspective, even quite loud designs get quite lost, and they almost camouflage in, whereas just a solid light colour, I don't particularly like a high-vis crash helmet, but just white is fine. And this particular crash helmet, which I'll do a little review on soon, it's got quite a nice white metallic to it, so it doesn't look really cheap and nasty when I'm handling it, and I'm more than happy wearing it. So yeah, so for me, I think I found also some, because the reason why I'm trying to get to the bottom of this high-vis stuff is that I want a good set of commuting, like a good outfit for commuting. And when I'm on the commute, I don't really care how I look, I just want to be seen if necessary. So yeah, hopefully with what I've picked out, please don't jump up, hopefully I've got something that will keep me relatively safe and will allow me to use my bike as much into the winter as I possibly can. But that remains to be seen. National speed limit tucked in. And isn't this part of the joke? It doesn't matter what size of bike you have, if you decide to go above this, then you're going to get penalty points, and if you go too much above it, you're going to get banned from driving. You get too far above it, and you're going to go to prison. So it does make a lot of choices slightly redundant. And that's why, I've said it before, I will say it again, this GS, the 1150, for me is literally perfect, because it makes a national speed limit ride enjoyable. It really does. I wanted to do a walk around this evening, but I was running out of time, and I gave the bike a bit of a wash at lunchtime, but I didn't have enough time to finish it. But for me, this thing looks great. It has the soul and the feel of, I hate to use the reference because I've never really ridden one, but a Harley Davidson, in the way that you've got a big twin. And this is the most controversial one. I think that this 1150 GS, especially in the colour that I've got, I think it's an equal to the 9160 Ducati in looks. I said this online and I got a lot of flack for it, but some people did agree. And there are specific reasons for that. It's not the classic Italian beauty that Ducati 916 is, but there's something really good about it, something really special. For me, in terms of like sports bikes, like ultimate like race bikes, sports bikes, there's probably two that I'm going to pick out. I would say that you've got the Cagiva 500 from when it was two strokes, the one that John Kaczynski rode. So you're looking at the mid-90s there. That for me is the most gorgeous absolutely divine looking machine for racing. It just looks, there's no wings on it, it just looks pared back red stallion. It looks amazing. And then it's probably the 9160 Ducati in terms of a bike that was homologated for racing through having a road bike. Okay, I get that, but I think that this 1150 does, for me, it makes me feel the same as those bikes. It really does. He left me. He waved. You stay there. But that's the thing. It's hard. He looked camoed. I couldn't really see him. Get a bit of high-viz in your life. But that's the other thing. It's a little bit like bike security. If everything becomes high-viz, then you don't see the high-viz. So if all riders wear high-viz, then you may not be seen. But if you're the one that does, you may well be. So, good news on the bike, rear hub in good nick, high vis, I've got some coming, should be set up for commuting, and yeah, catch up soon guys, stay safe. Oh, and it's true, 1150 GS equals sexiness to 916, true story. Bye.